welcome to Strange Talk with Doc. This particular show, we're going to deal with a couple of people speaking up about the Supreme Court overturning the concealed carry New York gun laws. I might as well start with myself. Me personally, I'm pro-gun. I'm pro-carry. So I am all with them alleviating some of the issues that were faulty with this law. Meaning, it should have never been you must show cause. You should not ever have to show cause to exercise your rights in this country. So only people who are being stalked, only business owners, only people who have just cause can file and possibly get their CCW. It makes no sense. You know what? What about a law-abiding citizen who's done everything right over the course of their life, who decided to take the course? I mean, you could still be denied, but the opportunity to be taken away because you don't have credible moral standards. And who makes these moral standards? Suppose you're a loner. You don't have many friends. You don't have people in your life like that who will vouch for you. So what are you supposed to do? What is that person who has lived a clean life but can't find 4 or 5 people who are willing to go and have a document signed to state that you have this moral character? It made no sense. Now, is New York equipped for this? No, New York is not equipped for this. The police in New York are not accustomed to stopping multiple people per day who have legal handguns. Most of the people that they will stop at frisk and detain will be people illegally carrying weapons. So they have a judgment and a standard for that. But to be running licenses of people who actually carry guns legally, believe it or not, smaller cities and smaller states are well equipped to this. This is what they train their officers on. Road stoppage with legal handguns. New York, this might be a can of worms that they don't know anything about, but I am all for this because it's not right that you do not have the ability to even exercise this unless you are a certain somebody. And I'm sure celebrities automatically fall into the stalker laws, so they have rights above the average citizen. It's time to stop this shit with average citizen and then these people who are better than average citizens. What about we are one and we are the same? You just happen to have an ability and a talent that gets you on the airwaves, that gets you on the news, that pays you a hell of a lot more money than I do. But does that make you any more human, any less human than myself? Now, what I want to do at this particular time is read a quote. He couldn't come on to the show, but my buddy Eric left me a quote. I asked him, what did he think about this law? He says he's not necessarily against the ruling. He's just concerned about the possible, and now this is paraphrasing, the possible disparity between the people of color being able to legally get a license versus others. I would some of those would be based on, one, our lives and the law of the cities and towns. I would also like for lawmakers to start coming up with laws on what constitute using your gun in self-defense. I'll get into that later. We all know that more gun owners are legally able to carry in public, and it would possibly lead to more shootings by legal users under the guise of I feel threatened. I'll get into that also. The feeling could be based on interpretation, i.e., a black person threatened me. Now, he also goes on to state, now I'm going to try to get my license. He says, absolutely, 3, he states that clearly, now more than ever. Definitely, but at the end of the day, we all depending on the law, which is not always equal. I am for people getting guns legally, but I'm also against some people being able to get certain guns. And I don't think everyone should be able to get a gun, which is true. Do I want an AR? Hell yeah. Would I want to go through the process of legally getting one? Yes. But do I think we should make it as easy as showing a driver's license and getting a quick background check? No. Do I think the New York gun laws make sense? No. Making an AR, okay, buying an AR with ease, which other states allow, is crazy. But he also goes to state that he regrets to this day that he never brought an arsenal when he was living in Raleigh, North Carolina. Now, a couple of things that we must understand. Gun owners have responsibilities. They must, when it comes to self-defense, there are 5 pillars. There's innocence, reasonability, avoidance, proportionality, and imminent danger. See, these are some of the things that he has to take into consideration. And just because a state has a CCW doesn't mean that you can just walk into any gun store and buy a gun. If you're out of state, you might still need a permit. So it's a background check being done. And a background check is being done to get you that CCW. You took that 9-hour course. You should have learned some laws. It is your responsibility as the owner of said weapon to know the law, especially if you're a new gun owner. You must know the laws. And those laws, like I said, I'm going to state it again, is innocence, reasonability, avoidance, proportionality, and imminent danger. These are 5 different statutes, and each one has a different meaning, a different set of principles, rules that must be adhered to. If not, you will find yourself in a criminal court. You will find yourself convicted of a crime. You will find yourself doing jail time. You will find yourself losing that CCW license. There's a lot of things that New Yorkers don't need to really panic about. And some of those things they don't need to panic about is that there will be places that will be off limits. I don't care where you live. I don't care if you're a permitless place. I don't care if you're a constitutional carry place. There are still places you cannot go with your weapon. You can't just show up at a federal court building or correctional facility. You might not be able to go to schools and hospitals and malls with your gun. The license does not give you carte blanche to do as you please. It's not a get out of jail free card, a CCW. You can't open fire in a crowd and shoot an innocent person. You only can use that weapon to, one, target practice, hunt, or to save yours and those that you love's life. You can also save loss of property, but you can't hit anything that's not supposed to be an intended target. You are liable for that criminally and civilly. So, I mean, E, if you're listening, man, I hope that I helped you out a little bit. I wish that you will at least investigate the procedures of going about getting a license when it becomes available to you. New York's going to have to deal with opening up brand new departments. They're going to have to deal with the fact that they now are going to need to have a CCW license department. They're going to have cops who are trained on how to go about stopping people on a dark road at night who might be carrying and they don't quote unquote fit the look and the bill of a person that they consider to be an upright citizen. A do-rag and a gun does not equal criminals. A hat on backwards and a gun does not equal criminal. And we have to reset the mind of those who think automatically in judgment. And also we have to, because he's big and he's black does not mean he's threatening you if he is across the street. Okay? So the courts are going to be inundated with people, and I'm sure some innocent lives will be lost because of this ruling, because there will be a lot more guns floating through the streets of New York. But upstate is already redneck central, and those people upstate, they're probably slobbing all over themselves to get at these guns. I think that New York's gotten away with this bullshit for over 100 years, and enough of it is enough. Now, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to wait and see if my buddy Bones calls in, because I'm expecting him to call in to further this discussion. But as of now, I'm going to stop talking about the situation until I get some further input. Okay, we're welcoming Bones to the show. We're going to talk for a couple of minutes about the New York City or the Supreme Court ruling on the CCW, or let's say concealed carry permit deal. What do you think about it? I'm just going to let you run on that for a minute.
What I think of it, actually, New York City, particularly New York City, it's Dodge City and New York City, and to me, it just levels the playing field because it just cripples the people that are law-abiding citizens from being able to purchase and carry a weapon. People who violate the law, they're getting their guns with like water, just like buying, literally like water, like they just get it. So to me, it just levels the playing field. Someone knows that it's possible that someone else is carrying, maybe that will lessen crime because, the odds are, are in somebody else's favor as opposed to you just running with impunity up on somebody to do them harm, bodily harm at that. But, so that's the way I stand with New York overturning their antiquated law because that's all the years seem like, they say it's been in existence for 50 years, but it seems like over the past 20 years, they just put a stranglehold on law-abiding citizens from purchasing weapons to defend themselves. And in our old neighborhood, it's crazy. It is bananas. It's almost like we've gone back in time, like some L.A., New Jack City, Gotham City, because it's lawlessness the way they are using guns. Drive-by shootings with people see the soft targets where you with your mother, your father, your grandmother, your children. They don't, no regard.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm pretty happy to hear that. I couldn't predict how you would feel about that. I understand that you are well acquainted with handguns. So it's not a new gun ownership deal with you. You know the laws as with responsibility, innocence, avoidance, proportionality, imminent danger, and reasonability. So these are not things that I really had to discuss with you. Now, this is the way I see it. It's the law. The wording of the law was so bad. The wording of the law stating, one, that you have to prove that you have moral character. Who is the judge of said moral character? Two, the need. Why did you have to have a need when this is your right? You don't tell the federal government you need to drive because you go to work. You just get a driver's license. Does New York have a horror show getting ready to come? Sure. And that horror show is retraining the police force on how to deal with stoppages of legal licensed people. I don't know if this is something that's already in their training, but even the shittiest little town in the South, their cops are trained because they already know that they're going to stop people who are legally carrying. So there's a way that you approach that as opposed to approaching an illegal gun owner. Him, it's do what I say or somebody going to get hurt. The other person is, you know what? Let me see your paperwork. Let me run this paperwork through. You got a license. You presenting the license. Officer, here's not only my registration. And see, this is the way I deal with it. I give you my registration. I give you my driver's license. And also I give you a third ID, which is my carry permit or my carry license. So I'm giving you all three. I'm basically letting you know I'm armed, dude. Now, if your next question is where it is, I'm going to let you know where it is. And then you might have a follow-up question. Do you have anything in the chamber? And you know what? It depends. If I don't have anything in the chamber, then I'm going to let you know. But you know what? That's also on that officer. I'm willing to do whatever they need to do to let me move on. Go check my paperwork. It's thorough. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I haven't done anything. This is my right. I'm not trying to be a cowboy. Bones, trust me. I don't want to put hot blue steel in anybody, and I don't want nobody firing hot blue steel at me. And that's just the God's honest truth. I didn't go out and buy a gun to do it for some kind of ego thing or even feel the danger. See, that's what the thing. I wouldn't be allowed to even be a gun owner in New York because I couldn't state that I have fear for my life other than normal everyday fear, which almost every citizen in New York could say now because the police is not doing what they need to do to protect people. You know, I hate to say that maybe they're undermanned, but this is, you know, as much as Eric Adams says what he wants to say, every day I can go on YouTube and something has happened. The Bronx seems to be just burning. I mean,
yeah. The Bronx is
hell.
It's the lawlessness in New York City is it's amazing to me how people just do not respect authority at all. You know, and then also too, the New York City's liberal politicians have not helped matters either because, you know, they've gotten this bail reform. While they are intended to do a good thing, you can't rewrite the wrong way, and that's what they've done with the bail reform issue. But it's like, and then also too, the stop and frisk when it was in existence, because they don't do that anymore. It was biased because of they showed the stats, the numbers if they was in Brownsville, East New York, as opposed to if they was on the upper, the east side, upper east side. Like the statistics was glaring, and then also too, they wasn't even coming up with anything. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing too with us. We know, who got the guns. You know, the B-boys is on the corner. Those are the ones who got the guns. But no, you want to go and fuck with the person who is in a suit, tie, jacket. He don't fit the profile. But you fucking with these people over here. You know, and you know that this person here does not have a firearm.
That's true. That's true. I mean, there's going to be some things that this is going to create jobs. This is going to create law firms are going to make a shitload of money. And here's the thing. I don't want New Yorkers to get into this panic, especially when I speak to some people who are less versed than you later on today. I have other people calling, and they're probably more on the side of anti-gun, period, right? Just because the Supreme Court made this ruling doesn't mean it's carte blanche. Everybody gets one. You still have to have a certain standard of lifestyle to qualify. Okay, those who are dishonorably discharged from the military, forget about it. You got felonies, forget about it. You have been in drug rehab. For the most parts, most states say go take a hike. If you are a stalker, if you are a person who has, that's another thing that I'm glad the federal government closed. They closed the boyfriend abuser loophole because they only held husbands to a standard, but boyfriends could beat up women and stalk them and still get guns, which made no sense. But now, if you have these things on record, now I don't know about the people. I feel kind of bad for the people who have been in rehab at some point in their lives, but they cleaned themselves up 20 years ago. They're like ineligible, to ever carry a gun. So you had to have lived a clean lifestyle. It's matter of fact, you would love to see more people walk around the world with an ID that says, you know what, this dude, at least we never convicted him of anything. And that's what that license is basically saying at CCW. This is not the worst of the worst. You know what I mean? Hello?
Absolutely.
Yeah, this person's not the worst of the worst. This license that this person is carrying, saying that we ran them through a federal government database, we have fingerprinted them, and their record does not match the record of a dude or a female who's been in and out of the judicial system doing nonsense. You know, I once again, I appreciate you calling in, man. And if there's anything else that you have to say about the subject, I'm going to give you the floor, because I promised I wasn't going to hold anybody. But I just wanted to get some viewpoints on how other people felt about this particular law, because it's going to affect you indirectly or directly every time you enter that 5. But forget it. It's going to affect you upstate and downstate. Anytime you
Yes.
hit that NY area, because Jersey's coming next. Okay? Jersey's next.
Oh, and Connecticut also. So I think they under the same strict gun laws as well. And
Yeah,
even
California.
me retiring from law enforcement, but I don't live in the city now. I live in the state, right? I was approved I can carry in New York State, right? But I couldn't carry legally in the 5 boroughs.
You joking me, right? I thought that was automatically a wow.
Yep. And only thing that saved me is they have this thing for law enforcement called HR 218, which allows you to carry in all 50 states. So basically, that superseded New York City's law.
But so that does allow you in the 5 boroughs, or still no?
Right. That superseded New York City's law, the HR 218. But if there was no HR 218 to carry in the 50 states, then I could not carry in New York. I only own New York State, but I couldn't roll in the city of New York, the 5 boroughs.
That is literally asinine when you actually worked and got your status within the 5 boroughs for the most part, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And then also, too, which is a travesty? The military personnel have to go through the same, process of getting a license, and it's harder. It ain't easy because you was a vet. You would think that would be like, look, you with guns, firearms, your whole 3-year career, 5-year career, 20-year career. No courtesy in New York.
Yeah, and you know what? You were licensed to carry for the United States government, but you're not like.
Yes.
See, now I'm Bones. I am not with a lot of the constitutional carry, permitless carry. Some of that to me is insanity. I think some of that is truly insane. No background, because my thing is this: if you don't know the 5 pillars of carrying that weapon, I think you're ass out. I think you're going to set yourself up for potential long-term jail or some kind of civil suit. So you need that. I mean, think about it. It's a privilege. It's not a birthright. It's a privilege to be able to get the license to carry. But I think everybody should at least have to do the damn 9 hours.
Right.
I mean, I think
and you said that from the first time when you first started getting your weapon, said that. It's not a right, it's a privilege, and also to know the doggone law.
You must.
Of what's justifying you to carry this firearm and all of that comes with it, because it's a lot that comes with it. And it's not like, hey, it's on my head. It's a lot that comes with it.
Yeah, you know what? And for those who thinks that you might be listening, you say, oh, well, it's bizarre to even... when you first start carrying, it's one of the most bizarre things that you will ever do in your life. And then you don't even think about leaving home without it. It just becomes a part of you. And you the best thing that you could ever do is have good gear. And if you what I mean by good gear is that means a good holster, a good belt, where you're not even really noticing this thing on your person. It's not like it's a clunky, you're not over carrying. You know what? I love 1911s. I love 45s, but that is a big beast, which I would not. I mean, now, if I wore a suit jacket and I wore somewhere like a winter coat and I could wear a shoulder holster, yeah, that would be kind of cool. But shorts, and you're gonna have a fucking 45. That's kind of ridiculous. But you know what? People carry what they like. Some people still like 22s and 32s. So I don't come down on what a person likes as far as a weapon goes, but the privilege of having it means know the law, find out how the law is constantly changing. Don't just think that because you're licensed in a state that didn't think about it. North Carolina, we have no reciprocity with South Carolina. So you go to South Carolina, you're illegal now.
Wow.
It's just as simple as that. They don't respect us and we don't respect them. And they are a bordering state. But Virginia says, all right. Tennessee says, all right. But you would think South Carolina, North Carolina in bed, not. It's not. When they give you that license, all the other responsibilities fall on you to know what is going on.
Right.
Bones, man.
Well, I do have to run, brother.
Pleasure.
It was good talking to you.
Yes, been my pleasure, man.
Definitely gonna not make it as long as it's been.
Okay, I appreciate that, man. You have a great day. You take care of yourself, man. I wish you nothing but peace. Listen, let me just ask you something, Doc.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with the decision to overturn the concealed carry laws in New York? Just yes or no. We'll go into something in a minute.
No, I don't agree.
Okay. So would you ever see yourself filing to get a concealed carry license in New York?
Yes. We're going to get into why I feel I'm going to consider getting a carry license in New York.
Okay. So now this is your chance to run with this. Tell me anything, just your thoughts on the whole deal. How it affects you, what you feel about it. I want to hear your opinion.
Okay. I have a cousin that does taxes, right? He does taxes for his house. Okay. Somebody knew he did taxes at his house and knew that he was keeping money there. Okay, he was in the army. So happened to be it, somebody came to rob him in the house. His mother was upstairs. Mother came downstairs to see something, and the person that was robbing him stuck the gun to his mother's head and was trying to rob him. He didn't know at this time that my cousin was licensed to carry a gun, and he had it in his back waist. So, being that he had the gun to my aunt's head, and my cousin was trying to talk to him out of it, moving the gun out from my aunt's head, he tried to click it, and the gun jammed. Once the gun jammed, he didn't know that my cousin had a gun on him, and thank God my cousin had a carry license, because once he saw that, he pulled out his gun from the weapon and shot him 5 times.
Recording started.
Long story short, if he didn't have a license to conceal in New York, if he didn't have that gun, would his mother be dead?
Oh,
you
wow.
Think about that.
You know what? I really hate to hear that story that you just told me, but that's real life. And things like this do happen, unfortunately.
Right.
But I'm glad that he had the opportunity to protect himself and to protect his mother.
Yeah. And then when he shot the guy 5 times, after everything, the cops and everything came. And thank you. And the cops came. They said if he'd have shot him 2 more times, he'd have been in trouble for excessive shooting. That part I don't understand.
Well, see, that's another thing that I'm going to get to. New gun owners, one of the things that they have to learn is all the aspects of the law that involves carrying a gun. It's not just getting a license and carrying it. You did now have to know all the statutes and laws. And those are the most important things. Those will keep you out of criminal court, and that will keep you from being sued. Because if you damage property that has nothing to do with the person you're trying to hurt, you're in trouble. See, because they have a rule called proportionality, meaning that you have to meet force with this equal force. If somebody tells you they're going to slap you, you can't shoot them. You get it? The pain of a slap is not the same as the pain of a bullet. So it's very important that people understand all aspects of the law. Me personally, I agree with you. I think that the New York state law is dumb to begin with. It always has been dumb. It only gave too few people an opportunity to carry a weapon. Now, I understand every street is packed. There's tons of people everywhere. And, you know, the chances of you shooting at somebody and hitting the wrong person is going to be great. But you also can't rely on 911. We already know we can't rely on 911 as black men.
Exactly. I think it's too easy to get a gun in New York.
What did you say?
Too easy. I think it's too easy to get a gun in New York.
That's illegal. We're talking totally illegal here. Illegal?
Yeah.
They're a dime a dozen.
Right.
All you got to do is know who to ask and what to trade for it. You could trade drugs for it. You could trade money for it. But you know what? We're talking on the legal tip. New York is one of the hardest states to buy a gun there is, man.
Right.
Absolutely one of the hardest states to buy a gun. Well, I just wanted to hear what you had to say about this. And, you know, I want to hear different viewpoints. And that's why I got a bunch of people lined up that are calling in to let me know what they think about this particular thing. And, you know, it makes life simpler for me because there's no one set of, everybody's not going to think the same on this deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, you know, Doc, I'm always glad to talk to you. I'm glad I got the chance to talk to the show. When is the next episode so I can lock in?
Well, I dropped one this morning, and I will be dropping this one after I get everybody's opinions. I'm gonna put them all together. That'll drop by the morning, and it's every Monday. Strange Talk with Doc is every Monday. Unless I'm out of town or doing something, I do one every Monday. Once again, Doc,
okay,
man, I appreciate you.
I want this time slot right here if I can get it.
Okay, but you know what? Usually this is late for me. I've been done the show by now.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got it.
Oh, and another thing, if you are going to call in, we need a clearer line so I can understand everything you say. My audience wants to hear every word coming out of your mouth because you have to realize something. Everything you say is super important to them. It's super important to them that they understand you. That's the biggest thing about this thing, being understood. You could be right or you could be wrong. That don't matter. But being heard is what counts. Right?
Okay, got you.
And by the way, people, there's two
Thanks,
docs here. Okay, peace, brother.
All right, Doc. Okay.
Okay, peace, my man.
Peace,
people,
Doc.
I want you to know, that was one doc. I'm the other doc. So there's two different docs that was just speaking here. Hello, people. This is an old voice that some of you will remember, a blast from the past. This is Netboy calling in. How are you?
Everything's going well. How's everything with you?
I ain't going to complain about nothing, man. I'm breathing. I'm healthy. I'm living life. So everything's beautiful.
Yeah, same.
I did promise that I'm not going to hold you long. I just want to hear your opinion on a certain subject matter. And it's quite easy. The first question is yes or no. Do you agree with the Supreme Court's decision to overturn the concealed carry New York gun law?
I was kind of in the middle on this topic. only for the simple fact, I feel like it should be, the city and the state should be a little different. The law should bend a little differently for the city than the state. And that's only because I feel like New York, the city, is just too overpopulated with people, as opposed to the state.
Well, that is true. No, it makes perfect sense. And right now, to a degree, there are certain laws in effect. I even found out for law enforcement today that there's certain laws in the state that up until a point, until a national law came out, did you know that correction officers inside the city could not carry guns, but they could in the state? So there was some rules in place that differentiated between state and city.
Oh yeah, I knew there was some different laws that was different from the state as opposed to the city. But this Supreme Court goes for the entire state, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Right. There's no more differentiated. Now here's the second and biggest question. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Could you see yourself filing for a CCW in New York City?
Yes, and that gets to the point I was going to make, as opposed to, because now you figure if it's like when I'm in Florida, I automatically assume everyone in Florida has a concealed weapon on them. So in my head, I would apply, because then I would feel like I'm putting myself, I'm on the short end of the stick if everyone else in the city is carrying. If that makes sense.
Listen, you are talking to a person who now lives in North Carolina, and I assume that everybody that I see all day long, female and male, are armed. I'm also
armed. Right now in New York City, I feel like, in New York City, right as of right now, I feel like unless you have an illegal gun or unless you're a cop, I'm automatically assuming you don't have a weapon on you. As opposed to, because next year, I'm automatically assume everyone has a weapon on them.
Which makes sense, because you know what? It's a city that, forget the nonsense that people try to say. All New Yorkers are not criminals. All New Yorkers, and mostly 90% of the New Yorkers are hot, and that's shortchanging it. They're working people who are just trying to go about their lives. You got a criminal element. It's a big, huge city, and it's going to be there. But you're right. The attitude will change when you start thinking, and even if you don't want to carry, you do want to have the ability to have it in your vehicle, because if you're out late at night, going back and forth from your vehicle to your home leaves you wide open. Unless you have indoor parking.
Exactly. No, exactly. I park in the street, and I like, for instance, the other day, a guy rear-ended my vehicle. He was angry that he rear-ended my vehicle. So automatically, I could have assumed that he had a weapon on him because of how angry he was, and he rear-ended me.
Was he on a bike, or he ran his car into?
He ran his. I was at a stop sign in my vehicle, and he was in his vehicle, stopped at the stoplight as well. I think for some reason he thought the light turned green, and he slammed in the back of me.
Wow, sorry to hear that.
A little argument like that, I'm saying that could have ran over to something, because he was angry, and normally when someone has that type of energy towards you, you're going to tend to project the energy back. So I was like, well, because that would have changed, would that have changed my way of thinking if I automatically assumed that he had a weapon on him.
You know what?
And to break it down, go ahead.
Maybe not. Because now you say in a firefight, maybe you would have maintained the same energy to avoid that subject, because your intelligence is going to kick in. Don't shortchange yourself. Your intelligence is going to kick in. You're not going to go straight guerrilla animal.
The reason why I said I was in the middle of this and felt like that New York State should have been a little more different than a city to break down for the people who may not know the state versus the city. If I'm not mistaken, New York State has about 19 million people in it. Now, about 9 million of those people are in New York City.
Yeah, the 5 boroughs. Yeah.
So within 5 boroughs, we have 9 million people, and then the entire state holds 19 million people. So you're saying 10 million basically lives in the whole New York State. Then I'm like, we also have to worry about MTA. Before COVID, it was, I think the number was 5 million people were taking the MTA at that time. And I'm like, it's just so densely populated. I feel like the concealed carry should be a little different in the city opposed to the state.
Yeah, well, there's going to be some things, and I'm not going to hold you because I'm going to let you basically wrap up on my next question. There are responsibility that gun owners have to take. One is they have to watch the kind of bullets they use. There's full metal jackets, which will go through a person and then go through 2 more people. And then you have self-defense, which will stop in a body. So that will have to probably be a law that you can't use full metal jacket within the city limits. And then you're also liable criminally and civilly if you hit something that is not your intended target. So you're no different than an illegal gun carrier if you hit, you shooting at Jamie, right? Just to pick a name out of the blue. And you hit Jane in the leg. Now you done committed a crime against Jane because she had nothing to do with what Jamie was doing. So there are responsibilities, and there are also going to be big time laws that every licensed person is going to need to know and learn. Now, before I get you out of here, I just want you. Okay.
No, I was saying it was one other thing that had me on the fence, and that was also our police are scared. They claim to be scared without us having the concealed carry. So now they're going to be on extra alert, thinking that everyone is carrying a gun on them, which then makes, I feel like, put more stress, especially on the Black and brown community.
Listen, it sounded like you listened to me earlier. I had that conversation with law enforcement. The same thing. They have to now be retrained. Like, okay, say a shithole town. Say you go to Florida, you go to Virginia. Do you know those cops in Virginia and Florida? They are well versed in stopping people who have legal guns all the time. You figure if they stop 20 people, 5 of them got legal guns. New York is not trained to that because they had a stranglehold that the only people with guns were criminals. They have to retrain them when they come out of the academy that there will be licensed brown and Black people who have guns. And they have to be, that's going to be a dicey situation, a truly dicey situation, just retraining their minds to that. Now, any thought that you have whatsoever on the gun ruling, please enlighten us, and I'm going to let you go about your business.
Like I said, I was on the fence, so I kind of see it both ways, and I'm fine. And I know New York State, they just the governor just called back, so they're going to try to come up with some rules on how to regulate this stuff, which I'm assuming there'll be. I just feel like going forward, they would probably have. I don't know how it is in like North Carolina, but can y'all carry into arenas and stadiums and stuff like that?
Listen. Nationwide, there are banned locations, federal buildings, correction facilities, hospitals, sporting arenas. Hell no. You're not even supposed to really go into a bar. If you're drinking, you're not supposed to go into a bar. I mean, there's parades you can't bring them to. There's restrictions even on the most gun-friendly states. So I don't want, that's why I'm speaking to New Yorkers. Because they put a lot of poison in your minds.
Yeah, how do you regulate it? Like if you make MTA a no carry, how do you regulate that?
What you have to do then is have police enforce it just like they would a criminal. Okay, put it to you this way. I can go to Walmart with my gun, right? But I can't go to Target with my gun. I can go to Walgreens with my gun, but I can't go to CVS with my gun. And it's my responsibility to know this.
Oh, got it. All right.
It's not on them, because say a cop stops me in CVS and they say you got a gun. Not only do I screw up, I lose my license. You work so hard to get the damn license for them to take it away from you. You'd be more pissed at that than paying a fine.
Yeah, I have no faith in people though.
Well, you know what? I don't
faith
either.
in certain
My
people
wife,
in New York City.
trust me, my wife has asked me a few times, why are you leaving in the car? Nobody's going to bother you. And I'll be like, you know what? This will be the day. This will be the day
that is true.
that somebody will stop me. And now all of a sudden I have no license, you know? And I don't want to go back to not having a license. Like I was telling Bones earlier, after a while, you get literally used to having it with you, and you feel kind of funny not having it with you. And you say to yourself, why do I have it? I live in a place where not a lot happens.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know what? I'm comfortable driving it around in my car. If something happens, I can protect myself.
But that's the way I feel like when I'm in like those states in North Carolina and Florida. I feel like I know everyone else is carrying, and being I'm a visitor, I am not carrying.
Yeah. So think about it. You got buddies in Virginia.
Yeah.
Shit, everybody in Virginia's got a gun.
Yeah, automatically assuming and then you have those states where, yeah, you have to have a reason, but then you have the states that New York won't have this, which is like the stand your ground laws, where a shove could turn into something more because you could then say I was defending myself, or I felt scared. But we won't have to deal with that here in this state, unless someone.
No, you know what?
Elected governor.
There will be rules and regulations that are going to be a little restrictive in New York than they would be other places. Like, you're right. You're not going to have to worry about stand your ground. You're not going to have to worry about. See, now the castle defense might come into play. That's when somebody bursts through your front door and you could still kill them. See, that would be the purpose of the whole thing.
Because we had to we was always able to have weapons, legal weapons in the house to protect your home.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. So many people got thrown off by the fact that it was hard to get licensed. They didn't even bother to get home defense. They thought that it was illegal. Okay. See, New York is in people's heads as far as guns. They want to act like they're a foreign country, like guns aren't allowed, which is garbage. And that's all the Supreme Court really did. They didn't say that you have to license people or you have to give permits to people. They just said that if people meet certain requirements, they should be allowed to get them. I think it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Why should I tell you, Net Boy, that before you do something, you need to give me 5 references? Why?
Yeah, I did read that. You need to have character references. But what New York City also does is, if I'm not mistaken, in New York City also the wait period is super long. So I can see them saying, oh, well, if you want a concealed carry permit, the waiting period will be a year extra.
But you want to know something? When the federal government has stepped in, and they have now stepped in, that's going to become bogus also, because they're going to have an agency that's going to be funded by the government that does nothing but check sheriff offices, or they're going to have sheriff offices that process this paperwork, and they have to do it timely because these are legal documents.
Yeah, because I read. So
you know what?
In North Carolina, how does it work? Is there a waiting period?
Very, very little. Now, actually, you know where I got my license because it was the easiest? Virginia.
Oh, okay.
I went through the state of Virginia. I didn't even have to appear in Virginia.
Oh, wow. Because I read that if I was to get my license in New York State, that I would have to go down to Police Plaza, fill out all the paperwork, and then you have to go to criminal court and get all the summonses that you've ever had in a lifetime. Get those, take them to Police Plaza, get the references, not like they putting you through hoops. Because I
See,
feel like if you
you know
never
what?
been convicted of a felony or a misdemeanor and you're not in the system, then that should be fine. Why are you counting up summonses and stuff like that?
No, you know what? That's bogus. They're gonna force New York hand to play fair because one, I submitted my fingerprints, a photo, $100 money order to Virginia. They ran the background check off the $100 that I gave them, and that was it. Either they reject you or they accept you.
Got it.
And they send me a letter saying, you know what? About 3 weeks, look at your mailbox; it'll be in there. Simple as that. Because when you give them the fingerprints and say do the background check, that's not on you. If nothing comes up, why is that
Exactly.
your fault?
That's what I said. Why do I have to? Exactly. I don't have any misdemeanor or felony. So why are you sending me to criminal court to pull my summonses record?
See, now
And
here's
if I'm
the
not
thing.
mistaken, I think in New York State it's $300 or $400.
Damn. Well, that's all going to change. When the federal government gets involved, and they will be involved, they're going to have guidelines that they have to follow. They can't be 4 times over every other state's price. You know, Virginia was kind of high. 100 is a lot. You know, in some states it's $25, $20. Some states you don't need it at all. We got 13 states right now where you don't even need nothing but a state ID to go get a gun, and they don't even need you to have license. We come in the Wild West. You know, that's the one thing Eric Adams was right about. It is the fucking wild America, not New York. Don't make New York seem special. America's becoming the Wild West. Net, man, I really appreciate hearing from you. Take care of that elbow, man. Be gentle with it. I hope that bad boy heals up fast.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
I mean, I
appreciate
I
you.
wasn't as
You
bad
asked
as
me to join
you.
the call too. It's
You
good.
know, I
I'm just
was
working on
not
range of
as
motion. After that, it should be good.
okay. Good, man. Yeah, you know what? Unfortunately, when you get up there in those mid-40s, you'll feel it on some rainy, cold days. But you know, that's it. That's one of those spots you're gonna feel for the rest of your life.
All right, no problem.
But
I mean,
I
I
said,
feel it, but hopefully it gets 100% better. But I really appreciate you having me on the call.
no, I appreciate you calling in, man. It meant a lot to me. And once again, man, you have a great day. Peace to you and yours. And I'll wrap to you soon, okay?
You too.
Okay, so I just want to ask you one question first. Do you agree with the Supreme Court decision to overturn the concealed carry New York gun laws? This is a yes or no answer. I'll let you elaborate after this.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay. Now, do you see yourself ever filing for a CCW in New York?
No, well, I don't feel that I need it, but I would if I did need it. If I felt I did need it. Yeah.
Okay. So what is your thoughts on this whole situation? You could say whatever you want to say. I'm not here to tell you your opinion is wrong in any way, shape, or form. So this is free form. I don't care how you put it. If you cuss, you don't cuss, it's on you. Floor is yours, my friend.
Okay, so from what I'm understanding is that the overturning is it just eliminates, like, if you don't need you don't have to verify a special need apart from just self-defense to obtain the concealed carry license, right?
You know what? You are right. You are correct. That was bad wording on the founding fathers of New York. They really fucked up with that. I'm sorry, man. They really did. They should have never did that.
And
because
I believe it's still I think it's still in place, as far as getting a concealed carry in New York. you still have to meet the requirements, basically that you had to meet before. For the
You know
average
what's
New
going to
York
be
citizen.
also taken off the book? They're going to take off that moral compass garbage, because who is your moral
Right.
compass that you're in good moral standings? Nobody can make that statement. And they're also going to have to take off the you need like 5 references. That's ridiculous. That's just,
Right.
suppose you're a loner and you don't really have friends.
Right.
Is that fair
And
to
it
a
shouldn't be
person
the
who
whole
doesn't have friends? The
person
main
that
thing is that you don't
does,
have a
a person that does obtain it, right? I mean, they can. Not everybody. It's not that it's impossible to find 5 references, you know, and you can still end up using, reason,
you know what?
as a concealed carry.
Say I'm in New York.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
5 references could be hard. Don't forget, those 5 references also have to have clean criminal records.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So say you got a buddy, you've been tight with him your whole life, but he never told you about when he was 16, he was arrested for attempt robbery. Now you use him as one of your reference. Your application gets thrown in the garbage.
Right.
Because people are not very truthful about everything about themselves. See, that's one thing that's good about the other states. You stand on your own. You submit the application. The only person record that they're looking at is the applicant's record. Nobody else.
Right.
So you get rejected on your own, as your own responsibility.
Yeah, and the other thing about the concealed carry requirement is that the people that are using the guns for, violence and wrongful, not in self-defense, their carry is concealed. Even if it's illegal, it's still concealed, right? And so that it's still
but you know what?
Tipping the hand to the person, that does it illegally versus the person that wants to do it legally.
You know what?
Because
the illegal element, we can't eliminate them, okay? So I'm not even trying to deal too much with them. And I'm not going to deal too much with the racist angle, because racism is going to play a part. They're going to look at addresses of people in New York who file. You know what? Maybe some people from the heart of Brownsville might have a hell of a time. Some people from the South Bronx are going to have a harder time than, say, a kid from Staten Island or Long Island.
Right.
They're going to look at your area code for sure. Your zip code. They're going to look at the zip codes,
right,
and see how many people they're arming in an area. But me personally, I think that the law needed to be struck down. I think those things needed to be taken out. I think that this has to be oversighted by the federal government, because I was just speaking to somebody right before you who said something ridiculous like a gun license costs $300 just to file the paperwork. That's ridiculous. The highest I've seen in the country was like $100. You can't have 3 times the national average. Some states are only $25. And then somebody brought up something that would affect you directly. Here's the thing that is stupid. We get guys like you. We arm you for 4 to 6 years to protect our country. But then we tell you to go home and you can't protect your home. You should at least be able, you should be grandfathered in as military with honorable discharge to at least be able to carry in your car. Say you're in your car at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's you and just the world.
Right.
So I never understood.
You do have experience in firearm, and being responsible with a firearm.
Exactly. Exactly. Not only did you have in the United States of America, they sent you abroad with a weapon. You know what I mean? So, so it's like a part of who you were. but you're good enough for the government, but you're not good enough for inside your own door. That doesn't make sense. And it never made sense. So if you have anything else to say on the subject, feel free to do so, and I'm going to let you go on and have a great day. Not that I have control over that, but I'm going to wish you a great day.
Yeah, to me, the all they did when they overturned the law was made it a little bit easier for the people that they have to go through the process anyway to get the concealed carry, the legitimate people. It just made it less stressful for them, because if you didn't qualify before, you're still not going to qualify now.
You know what?
To me,
June, I appreciate that answer because I've been watching a lot of YouTube. I've been watching a lot of reporters speak to people on the news, and even that dumbass governor, she made it seem like it was like getting now and laters. They're just going to be handing them out at every street corner, which is not true. You just wrapped it up perfectly by saying if you wasn't going to get one in 2021, you ain't going to get one in 2023. It's pretty simple. That's it in a nutshell. If you didn't qualify, you still won't qualify. They just made it easier for you to file for the application. And I guarantee you they are going to take that stupid addendum where you need these character references, because that's not a constitution. If you have a constitutional right, you don't need a character reference to use your constitutional right. You just don't. There's nothing else that they ask you to do that's when you vote, they don't ask you for a character reference before you pull a lever, do they? No, they don't. Our constitutional rights are fairly simple. Liberty, justice, a fair deal, it's not hard. And the right to bear arms, there should not be anything about a character reference. The character reference is yourself and a clean criminal record. June, man, I appreciate you calling in, man. It's been a long time since I spoke to you.
Yeah, man.
I hope you stay healthy. I hope you stay well, my friend.
Yeah, same with you, man.
I appreciate that. And you can call anytime. You know where I'm at. On Facebook. You can holler at me anytime you like. I just don't, I just don't keep the page open as far as like the back and forth, because it's just too much for me now. I kind of, that ship done sailed for me. I'm tired of seeing people's fucking lunches.
Yeah.
I'm tired of seeing people's lunches and every thought that they have in their head.
Yeah.
It's a bit much. But like I said, man, I wish you have a great day, a great week, and that you and yours stay healthy, okay?
All right, Doc. Same to you, man.
Appreciate it. Peace.
All right.